You open your eyes to darkness, not the soft, sleepy kind, but a cold, biting void that grips your bones. You're not in your bed. You're wrapped in coarse wool, stiff with frost, lying on a straw mattress that smells like smoke and goat. Welcome to the North Atlantic, 9th century where the sun forgets to rise and the wind speaks a language of warning. Could you survive this brutal Viking winter? Before you settle in, take a second to like and subscribe, only if this kind of storytelling speaks to you. And while you're here, tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. I love seeing how far these whispers travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe switch on a fan for that soft hum, and let's drift into tonight's journey together. The longhouse groans as icy wind seeps through its timber walls. Around you, bodies sleep huddled together, stealing warmth where they can. You rise quietly, feet bare against frozen earth. The elder is already awake, feeding bark into a dying fire. Her eyes milky, knowing track your every move, without surprise. Outside, the world is white. Not a postcard white, but a cruel, silent white that swallows noise and direction. You trudge to the tree line to check the snares. One rabbit, frozen solid. You whisper thanks to the forest, though it offers little comfort. Back at the hearth, the stew simmers mostly water, seasoned with a scrap of fish and a few tired roots. A child coughs, another shivers. You offer no words. What's left to say? At dusk, you sharpen your axe not for hunting, but for protection. The forest has grown strange. You've seen the tracks. Broad, deep. Not man, not beast. The elder senses it too. She presses something into your hander pendant carved from bone, warm despite the cold. It remembers, she whispers. You hang it around your neck. Outside the wind changes. The goats bleat, the children stir, and the snow isn't falling anymore. It's watching. The wind is sharper this morning, cutting through layers of fur like blades. You rise again before the sun, though you wonder if it ever truly rises this far north. The sky remains that same colourless grey, like old wool. The air smells of wood smoke, iron, and something else, something distant and bitter. You go to the edge of the village with two others, the blacksmith's eldest son and a young woman whose eyes haven't closed fully in days. You speak little. Words take heat, and warmth is too precious to waste. The three of you gather fallen limbs and whatever dry brush hasn't been buried in last night's snow. Most of it is damp. It will smoke before it burns. The traps today are all empty. No rabbit, no birds. Even the squirrels seem to have vanished. The forest has gone still, not quiet, still. Not even the creak of branches or the call of a crow. It's the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. You glance to the tree line more often now, uneasy. You try not to think about the missing hunter. He left 3 days ago. Took extra furs, 3 charms, a full pouch of dried meat. He never returned. The elder gave you another charm this morning. Smaller than the first, a thin disc of bone with a single eye carved into its surface. For seeing what prefers to stay hidden, she said. You didn't ask for it. She gave it anyway. You spend the better part of the day walking the perimeter of the village. Nothing is out of place. But the nothing itself is strange. There are no fresh animal prints in the snow. No scat. Not even bird droppings on the rooftops. It's as if nature has withdrawn, not scared, but obedient. Near dusk, you return to the edge of the woods. You pause beside an old piñón of the boundary trees. There's something etched into its bark, not cut by blade or claw, carved, cleanly, in a spiral. You brush snow from the grooves and feel something shift beneath your skin, as though your bones are listening. You back away slowly, heart pounding. That night, the fire burns low. The stew is mostly water now. The villagers eat in silence, save for one child who hums a soft melody none of you recognize. The elder doesn't stop her. She only listens, her lips moving in a prayer you've never heard before. You take the first watch. You sharpen your axe again. Midway through the night, the door creaks. A gust of wind doesn't follow. No one stands outside. But the snow has new prints. Large, deep, a pattern of something walking on two legs, and something else beside it, dragging. You do not sleep after that. You just wait. The prints remain at dawn. You step outside before anyone else rises, hoping the snow erased them. It hasn't. They circle the longhouse in a looping spiral, some nearly as wide as your chest. Whatever made them walked slowly, deliberately, dragging something heavy. A trail leads toward the woods, then vanishes. You kneel near one and run your fingers across the indentation. It's deeper than it should be, as though pressed not just by weight, but by intention. The snow underneath feels warmer. Damp. Wrong. The elder joins you silently. Her breath hisses in the cold as she leans in. Don't speak of them aloud, she whispers. Not while they're listening. You rise and bar the longhouse door again. The fire is already lit, the children huddled near it. The youngest still hums the strange melody. She says it came to her in a dream, that the man in white taught her. You freeze. What man? You ask. She shrugs. He didn't speak, but he smiled. His face was fog. You share a glance with the elder. She nods, gravely. It's beginning. The longhouse darkens early that day, as if the sun gave up rising. The wind builds steadily, not howling but thrumming, like a drumbeat buried beneath the snow. The goats bleat and huddle together. You've built them shelter, but they refuse to enter. Instead, they face the forest, unmoving, as if waiting. You sharpen your axe again. It's dulling faster than it should. Wood shouldn't eat metal. But these trees, they do more than grow. They remember. That night, you take second watch. Half the village refuses to sleep. The elder mixes herbs into the fire, again resin. Pine, dried petal sand, the flames sputter blue. The air smells sweet, but it stings your eyes. The wind stops. The door trembles once. You rise. Outside, nothing. Then you see it. Across the clearing, just at the edge of the woods, a shape, tall, pale, still, not glowing, not solid, like a smear of breath frozen in place. You don't move, you don't blink. Behind you, the child begins to hum again. The figure tilts its head. You shut the door and bar it. The elder meets your eyes. It showed itself, you say. She nods. It has chosen its path. You ask what that means. She sighs. It doesn't always walk through snow. Sometimes it walks through people. You barely sleep. The flame dims. The pendant on your neck pulses faintly, like a heartbeat. You whisper your own name, quietly, to remind yourself. Because tonight, you feel less yourself. And something else feels more present. Waiting, just outside the skin of the world. You set out at first light, though the sky offers no colour, only that same ash-grey haze. The forest stands like a frozen army, its branches heavy with snow, its silence absolute. Each step you take crunches faintly, then vanishes behind you. You have never felt more alone, but you are not alone. You carry with you the eye-shaped charm, the pendant around your neck and your axe. The elder said nothing before you left, only pressed your hand with unusual urgency. Her fingers were ice cold, her eyes too knowing. You retrace the steps you saw in the snow last night, though they're nearly gone now, smudged by the wind. What you follow feels less like a trail and more like a suggestion. The trees seem closer than they should be. Their bark twists, their limbs groan with weight you can't see. Hours pass, or maybe none at all. Time behaves strangely here. Then, ahead a clearing. It shouldn't be there. You've walked this way before, mapped every path for hunting. But this place feels new, untouched. Centered in the clearing is a stone. Tall, narrow, its surface too smooth, too precise. Pale runes crawl across it, shifting subtly when not observed directly. As you draw closer, you feel something in your gut tighten, like an instinct warning you away from the edge of a cliff. You kneel, uncertain why. The spiral charm around your neck warms against your skin, a slow pulse like breath. You reach out and place your palm against the stone. It vibrates, not a sound, but a sensation humming into your bones. You hear nothing but feel everything, cold memories that don't belong to you, songs sung in voices long dead, snow falling in reverse. You pull back, gasping. The clearing has grown darker, as though clouds thickened above. But you know it's not that. The air has changed. Then, on the far side of the clearing, a figure, tall, white, faceless, still. It watches, or you think it does. You don't run. Instead, you lower your gaze and walk backward, never turning your back to the stone or the thing beyond it. Your every step feels like trespass. The woods don't want you here, but they're letting you go. This time, when you finally return to the village, dusk is falling. The smoke from the longhouse barely rises, as though the air itself is too thick to carry it. You collapse near the fire, breath shallow, limbs aching. The elder is waiting. "You saw it," she says, not asking. You nod, unable to speak. She places a hand on your forehead and closes her eyes. Then the veil has thinned. That night, no one sleeps, and the snow begins to fall not from the sky, but from beneath the ground. They don't call it a meeting. No one sends for it, and no one speaks the word. But by nightfall, every soul in the village is gathered around the longhouse fire. The air inside is tense, thick with unspoken truths. Some clutch charms, others old blades dulled by time and rust. Children are silenced with gentle hands. No one cries, but no one smiles either. The elder stands slowly, her robe heavy with frost that's somehow formed on the inside of the house. Her shadow dances like a separate thing on the timber wall. She doesn't shout, she doesn't plead. She speaks in low tones that echo despite the quiet. "We have been remembered," she says. The villagers shift, some in disbelief, others in dread. She speaks of the old seasons, not just winters, but epochs. Times when the land was still young and things walked through snow not as guests, but as rulers. When gifts were made in silence. When names were never spoken at night. You listen, heart pounding, feeling your breath shorten with every tale. She says we have broken the pact not by action, but by forgetting. The forest does not forgive forgetfulness. A plan forms, not of resistance, of remembrance, survival through obedience. Rules are laid out, unspoken until now, but felt by all. No one speaks after nightfall unless it's to the fire. Keep the hearth alive, never let it die. Walk only where the elder blesses the path. And never ever answer a voice that calls you by name in the dark. The blacksmith's widow offers dried meat for the fire. A man leaves his last goat tethered at the edge of the woods. You do not ask him why. He does not explain. You are chosen for the first night watch. The elder hands you a vial of dark oil to pour onto the fire if it flickers. She says it will scream, but do it anyway. You take your place near the door. Time drips. The fire hisses with the oil, casting green flames that illuminate the far corners of the room. You sit motionless, listening. Then it begins. A soft knock. Just one. Then silence. Then another. You do not move. Then your voice, your exact voice calls from the other side of the door. "Let me in, please. It's cold. I'm you." You grip your axe tighter, blood draining from your face. No one else stirs, as if only you can hear it. You do not speak. You do not blink. The pendant at your neck burns hot. The voice laughs softly, like melting snow. Then it fades. When morning finally comes, the fire is out, but the frost on the walls is gone. In its place, a spiral, drawn in ash, still warm to the touch. The spiral drawn in ash lingers for hours, even after the hearth is rebuilt and flames lick at new logs. No one touches it, no one speaks of it, but everyone avoids stepping too close. It feels like a wound in the world, a mark not of what visited, but of what was invited. The elder scrapes it away just before dusk, using a flat stone and a prayer. She burns the stone afterward. You take second watch tonight. The axe feels heavier in your hands, now not from fatigue, but because you know it may not be enough. Steel can kill beasts, but this is not a beast. The night begins with silence. No snow falls, yet the roof groans under pressure. Wind brushes the longhouse walls, but it doesn't howl, it whispers. The voices are too low to understand, like hearing a story from the next room. But sometimes they say your name. You don't respond. Then come the tapping sounds, gentle at first, like a single knuckle brushing wood. They come in threes, then fours, then stop. You breathe slowly, remembering the elders' rule. Never open the door at night. Never speak to what's outside. Never acknowledge your own name if it's not spoken by a known mouth. Hours pass. The tapping stops. You almost relax, and then the window. A pale shape moves past it just once, slow, wide. You jump, heart thudding in your chest, but say nothing. The pendant against your skin begins to chill again. You grip it and close your eyes. A child stirs behind you, whispering nonsense words. The elder wakes, listening closely, then rises to offer the child a hot cloth soaked in herbal oil. The child stills instantly, as if soothed by something older than warmth. The fire hisses again. This time, a strange scent, riser salt, pine, and something metallic. The elder adds black powder to the flames, and they flash blue. In the light, you see something crawl across the wall. A shadow, too big, too slow, sliding along the timber like oil. You swing your axe, but nothing's there. In the silence that follows, someone laughs, not outside, from inside the longhouse. You spin, searching faces. All are asleep or feigning it. The laugh is gone. You stay awake until morning, staring into the fire. When dawn breaks, the spiral is back this time, carved into the wood of your axe handle. You run your fingers along it. It's shallow, precise, not made by your blade. The elder sees it and nods solemnly. "It has tasted your name now," she says, "but not your fear. That is good. You ask what comes next." She looks to the forest. It will call again. Louder this time. It wants something. You want to ask what, but part of you already knows. It wants in. The days no longer feel real. Time unspools like thread in Waterloose, drifting without direction. Morning, midday, twilight. They blend into one dim stretch of cold and stillness. The villagers speak less, eat less, sleep with their eyes half open, and still, it watches. Today, you wake with a word pressed against your lips, not your own, not in your language. A word that tastes of iron and ash. You whisper it by accident, and the elder's head snaps toward you. "Spit it out," she says. You do, into the fire. The flames crackle, blue sparks dancing upward, and the sound they make is not fire, it's whispering. She presses a finger to your brow. You must not dream in its tongue. You nod, but you don't ask how. Later, you walk the perimeter of the village. Half the goats are missing, their pens open but unbroken. No blood, no tracks, just gone. As if they stepped out of the world. Children gather around the elder, drawing symbols in the dirt. Not childish scribbles, complex spirals, interlocking triangles, eyes that cry lines of ash. They say they see them in the snow when they blink. One child draws your face, eyes black and mouth sewn shut. The elder gently wipes it away, saying nothing. By evening, the longhouse grows colder despite the fire. Ice forms on the ceiling beams, frost etching downward like veins. You wrap yourself in every fur you own, but the cold bites deeper now inside the skin. The tapping begins again, not at the door this time, but from beneath the floorboards, slow, measured, as if something below is knocking upward, asking to come through. The elder moves to the center of the room and begins chanting not a prayer, but a negotiation. Her voice trembles but does not break. One child starts humming again. Then another joins. It's the same tuney, strange melody that has no words, only rhythm. You feel your heartbeat sinking with it. You slam your fist against the floor. The humming stops. So does the knocking. But the pendant at your neck begins to pull forward, as if tugged by invisible hands toward the earth. You stay up that night, watching the fire with your axe across your knees and salt at your feet. and you think of the word that greeted you this morning. You say it once, softly. The fire flickers low, and from beneath the floor, something answers. You do not remember sleeping, yet you wake eyes open, hands clenched, heart already racing. The fire is a smouldering pile of embers, casting red shadows that ripple across the walls like waves of dried blood. You crawl to it and feed it wood with trembling fingers. It resists the flame for longer than it should. When it finally catches, you notice the symbol. It's carved into the beam above your head, 3 lines forming an eye, pierced through with a spiral. Still damp, still fresh. You rush to the elder, who studies it with narrowed eyes. "It's inside now," she says, voice flat. "Not the being, its intention, its memory." You ask what that means. She responds with silence and salt, drawing new protective wards around the longhouse, while whispering prayers in a voice not entirely her own. Later that day, a strange fog rolls inot from the sea, but from the trees. Thick, low, and too warm for winter. It smells of wet fur, moss, and something like rot. The village tightens into itself. Doors are barred, children hushed. Even the animals press close to walls and refuse to eat. Then someone screams. You rush outside, axe in hand, and find the fisherman's wife kneeling in the snow, cradling something. A Gotha lastis frozen solid, not with frost but something else. Its body is brittle, shattered when touched. Its eyes are missing. It sang to her, the woman sobs. It told her to walk into the white. The elder orders the goat burned before nightfall. The fire built for the pyre roars higher than any you've seen, green and silver flames licking the sky. As the carcass burns, you hear a sound, a long, low wail. Not from the fire, not from the people, from the forest. You all freeze. The sound fades, but something changes. The snow starts to fall again, but upwards. That night, you sit beside the elder, both of you staring into the hearth. She hands you a new charm. Not stone or bone, but a small vial of dark liquid. "For when you forget who you are," she says. "Drink it only if your name no longer feels like yours." You nod and tuck it into your cloak. The longhouse feels smaller. The shadows stretch longer. Even your thoughts feel thinner, as if whispered by another version of you walking just a few steps behind. You speak your name again, softly. And from the far side of the room, the same name echoes back. Mocking, perfect, wrong. You no longer trust mornings. The sky lightens, yes, but the colour is wrong, too flat, too heavy. The snow falls again, this time sideways, as if gravity is something optional. The elder says nothing about it. She simply hands out warmed broth and tells the children not to look out the windows. You sip the broth slowly, trying to recall how things used to taste. This is bitter, metallic. But you drink it all. "Hunger is a doorway," the elder once said. "Don't let it open too wide." By midday, the world outside falls completely silent. Not just quiet, but mute. Even the fire cracks in hushed gasps. Footsteps make no sound. A man tries to shout when he burns his hand and finds his voice gone. Panic ripples through the longhouse like wind through tall grass. The elder stands and speaks. Her voice is the only one that breaks the silence. "This is the veil," she says. The moment before the knocking begins. You all wait, breathless. Then it starts. 3 knocks at the main door. Slow, steady. Then 3 more at the rear entrance. Then at the windows. Simultaneous. Rhythmic. The elder pours black sand in a circle around the hearth. Everyone gathers inside it, clutching charms, murmuring your names under your breath to hold them in place. The knocking continues. It never escalates, never hurries. Just knocks, again and again, as if rehearsing for something important. Hours pass, you lose track. The fire begins to sputter. You reach for the dark oil. The elder stops you. "Not yet," she says. Then silence. Total. The kind that makes your ears ring from its absence. Then something else begins to hum. Familiar. The tune the children have been murmuring in their sleep. But now it comes from beneath the floorboards. You clutch your vial of dark liquid, feeling its chill seep into your palm. You whisper your name. You wait for the echo. It doesn't come. Instead, the elder begins chanting, this time in a voice not hers, deeper, older. The words turn the air thick, like walking through syrup. The hum fades. The knocking returns once, only once, and stops. When the silence breaks, it's with a gasp. Everyone seems to breathe at once, the spell broken. The fire flares back to life, blue and furious. One of the children laughs, just a small one, but it's enough to make the elder turn sharply and say, that's not hers. Everyone goes quiet again. The child looks confused. Then she hums the tune. Perfectly. Backward. The girl does not speak the next day. She only hums low, steady, and always backward. The other children don't respond, but they watch her, closely. Their eyes are wider now, like they've seen too much in too short a time. You help the elder bless the doorways again. This time, she uses blood. Just a drop from each person, mixed into a paste of ash and crushed pine needles. She paints it across the thresholds in an unbroken line. This is not for them, she says. It's to remind the house it still belongs to the living. You say nothing. At midday, the hunter's dog returns. But not the hunter. The dog is silent, moving like it's never seen people before. Its eyes are cloudy, and it won't take food. It stands at the edge of the firelight and stares at the girl, who hums louder. That night, the fog returns thicker, glowing faintly from within, like moonlight trapped in steam. Shapes move through it, slowly, not directly toward the village, but around it, circling. Everyone huddles close inside. The elder sprinkles something into the fire that smells like crushed seashells. The flames go violet. In the light, the fog outside turns a different shade of darker, like bruised skin. And in that darkness, you see them. Figures, dozens. Not walking, not floating, dragging, as if pulled along by something behind them. The girl hums louder. The elder reaches for her, but the girl's eyes snap open. They're black, no iris, no light. She smiles. A child's voice speaks 3 words. Let them in. You act without thinking. You press the charm to her forehead. There's a hiss, like water on fire. She screams not in pain, but enraged, collapses into sleep. The fog vanishes instantly. The figures disappear. The fire explodes in a burst of green light, then returns to normal. Everyone breathes again. You sit back, heart hammering, the charm scorched in your hand. The elder kneels beside the girl and whispers something into her ear. She sleeps peacefully. But that night, you dream of her standing at the edge of the forest, humming to the trees, and the trees humming back. The girl doesn't wake properly for 2 days. When she finally does, her eyes are her own again green with flecks of brown, but something behind them feels dimmer. She speaks slowly, as if relearning the act of language. The elder sits by her side at all hours, murmuring words in an old tongue, feeding her broth mixed with crushed bone and herbs no one else recognizes. The rest of the village avoids her. They fear her, though no one says it. She doesn't seem to mind. She watches the fire more than the people. Sometimes she hums, but only when she thinks no one is listening. You resume your watch near the door. The pendant around your neck has stopped burning, but it's colder now, like holding a pebble that's been resting in snow for days. Outside, the forest has changed again. The trees have grown closer. Paths you once walked now twist and vanish like the woods are hiding themselves. When you search for firewood, you mark your trail with red thread and salt. Sometimes you return to find the thread tied into knots. No one speaks of it. One morning you wake to find every doorway in the village marked with ash symbols you didn't place. The elder studies them. These aren't warnings, she says. They're invitations. That night the knocking returns, but this time it's on the roof. Slow, scraping knocks like nails across bone. You count them. 4, then 7, then 11. Always prime numbers. Always pausing between sets. The sound stops just before dawn. When you inspect the roof, you find no footprints, but the snow has melted in hand-shaped patches, long-fingered and perfectly spaced. You do not sleep the next night. Instead, you sit beside the hearth with the elder. She speaks of the old winters again. The ones that didn't end. The ones that took entire villages, leaving behind only smoke and teeth. She shows you a box carved from ice-black wood. Inside, a more charmsome, broken, some still pulsing faintly. She chooses one for you, a carved bird, wings outstretched, beak open. For when it speaks through someone you love, she says. You take it, and your fingers go numb. Later that evening, the girl stirs. She looks at you and says your name. But her mouth doesn't move. The words come from somewhere else just beneath her skin, like something is trying her voice on for size. You don't respond. She blinks. And then, in her own voice again, whispers, "It's coming tomorrow." Through the sky. You look up, the roof groans, and somewhere in the distance, the stars begin to fall. The sky does not lighten the next day. It remains a slate-grey canvas, unmoving, as though dawn has chosen not to arrive. The elder calls it the still day, a sign the boundary between your world and the other is thinning, like ice stretched over deep water. The children are silent. Even the humming has stopped. They stare at the ceiling or into the hearth, their eyes reflecting flame but showing no recognition. The girl-aunts, the voice of strange song snow, moves only when prompted. When you ask her name, she flinches. That evening, the elder prepares the black bowl again, this time with no oil. Only snow, crushed charcoal, and her own blood. She lights it with flint, and the snow burns, impossibly. "Watch," she tells you, "but do not speak." You do. The flames do not dance this time. They stand still, tall and thin like blades. Within them, you see not the forest, nor the watcher, but the village, your village empty. Doors open, fires cold, snow undisturbed for days. Then a figure appears. Not the faceless one. This one wears your face. Your clothes. But its eyes are hollow, and its mouth hangs open. It walks among the ruins. It stops at the elder's chair. Then it looks at you through the flame. You stagger back. The fire goes out. The elder does not flinch. It shows what may be, not what must be. You ask how to stop it. "We do not stop the winter," she says. "We endure it, but sometimes we must feed it first." She hands you a bundle, salt, a sprig of pine, and a small cloth doll made from goat hide and filled with something that shifts when you squeeze it. "For the sacrifice," she says. You hesitate. She points toward the forest. "Tonight, you leave the longhouse alone. The woods are blacker than you've ever seen. Even the snow seems dim, like ash instead of ice. Each step feels wrong, your legs heavy, your direction unsure. You hold the bundle close, heart thudding. You reach the clearing. The stone is gone. In its place is a pit, dark, breathing. You kneel beside it and place the bundle down. The moment you release it, the ground trembles. From the pit rises a sound, not a voice, but a memory. Your memory. The moment your brother died, the moment your mother wept, the moment you first feared the dark. You close your eyes. When you open them, the pit is gone. The forest is still. And on the snow where the bundle lay footprints, small, childlike, leading back to the village. You follow them. But when you arrive, the village is silent. The fires are out. The sky above has cracked, and stars are bleeding through. The sky bleeds light that isn't light, more like the colour of something wounded. The cracks above your head pulse slowly, like breath through broken glass. You stand in the centre of the village, the snow untouched despite your steps. No sound greets you, no people, no fire. Then you see them, shapes standing in doorways, not figures, not shadows, echoes, transparent impressions of those you knew. Their movements loop endlessly. Someone stirs a pot that isn't there. A child chases a goat that never comes into view. They do not see you. They do not feel real. You walk past them, heart thudding. The longhouse is dark, but the pendant at your neck burns cold. You step inside. The hearth is cold, but the girl is there. She's awake, alone. sitting cross-legged with her back to the fire, humming softly to herself. The tune is different now, slower, less twisted, like a lullaby remembered after too many winters. She turns her head toward you, not startled, not surprised. "You came back," she says. You nod. "They're all somewhere else now," she says, gesturing around the empty room. Close, but not really. You kneel beside her. "What did you see?" She shrugs. The sky opened. The watchers walked in. They looked like us, but they weren't. They whispered things I used to believe. You ask if she's still her. She smiles small, tired. Mostly. You light the hearth again. The flames are stubborn. You burn a charm. It flares red. Outside, a wind begins to rise. But this time, it feels warmer. Carried with it is the scent of pine and burnt clothes, familiar, almost comforting. Then the elder appears at the door, eyes brighter than you remember. She walks slowly, barefoot in the snow, but leaves no prints. "You've brought the silence through," she says. You rise. "What now?" She looks to the hearth. "We give it back." She lays a bundle at your feet. "It's yours, the one you left at the pit. But it's changed. The cloth is clean, the pine sprig is blooming, the salt shines. It accepted the offering," she says, "but it wants more." You ask, "What?" The elder places her hands on your shoulders and whispers, "Memory." Before you can ask what she means, she blows a powder into your face, grey and bitter. The world ripples. When your vision clears, you're alone. Completely. No hearth, no girl, no elder, just snow. The sky above is whole again, but empty. Stars gone, no wind, no watchers. You speak your name aloud. Silence. You look down. Footprints. Yours. Only yours. Leading forward, you follow them. Somewhere behind you, a song begins again. It's your voice. But you're not singing. The forest does not greet you. It absorbs you like water into cloth, slow and silent. The snow clings to your boots, but the crunch beneath your steps is gone, as if even sound has grown tired of following you. The footprints you followed vanish after a dozen paces. You stop, you turn. There are none behind you either. For a moment, you feel yourself floating not in the air, but in memory. Sounds trickle in from nowhere. A sibling's laughter, the ring of steel, a mother's voice calling your name as if from underwater. You shake it off. A single pine stands ahead, crooked and scarred by fire. Beneath it lies something impossible, a cloak. Your cloak. The one you burned last month to keep a child warm. You pick it up. It's whole. Dry. Smells like last winter, before everything changed. You don't put it on. You walk. The trees blur. The snow deepens. You realize you haven't blinked in minutes. Then, at the base of a ridge, you find it. The stone returned. Taller than before. Cracked now, like something inside tried to break free. Around it lie objects, offerings, bones, dolls. A bowl of melted snow, still steaming, and carvings. Dozens of them. Spirals, eyes, hands. One of them shows a face. Yours. Suddenly, warmth spreads from your chest, the charm the elder gave you. The carved bird is hot. The air grows heavy, and then the sky tears. A thin seam opens across the heavens, leaking light that should not exist, violet, mixed with amber, pulsing like a heartbeat. Figures descend. They don't fall. They unravel downward, like thread from a wound. Their forms twist human one moment, ancient the next. Their eyes find yours. You do not run. You kneel. One steps forward. The forest bends beneath its feet. It holds something outer mirror. Inside, your reflection shifts. Younger, older, dying, smiling, alone. Then not. Then nothing. The mirror vanishes. The figure speaks not in words, but thoughts. They pour into your mind like smoke through cracks. We are the cold between, the silence after, the breath before the name. You ask why you were chosen. No one is chosen, only remembered. You lower your eyes. The ground beneath you glow symbols forming. A circle, a doorway, a memory. The figure touches your forehead. Pain blooms. Then clarity. You remember all of it. The first winter, the first watcher, the first voice in the dark. You are not the first, but you may be the last. When you open your eyes, the figures are gone. The seam in the sky has closed. The snow is falling again. Normal, silent, comforting. You rise. The stone remains. Still cracked, still tall. But now you know why. It's not a marker. It's a door, and it's yours to guard. The journey back is not the same as before. The path you walked is gone, swallowed by drifting snow, and a forest that no longer pretends to follow rules. You do not panic. You know now that panic is what it wants, what it feeds on. You breathe steadily and let your feet guide you not by memory, but by something older than direction. As you walk, the trees begin to whisper not with wind, but with voices, familiar and layered. The baker's laugh, the blacksmith's cough, the elder's prayer, all echoing from the bark and branches, reminding you that everything here watches, listens, and remembers. It begins to snow harder, flakes fat and slow like falling ash, and in it, shapes drift faces made of cloud and frost. You don't look them in the eye. You cross a frozen stream you don't recall crossing before. Beneath the ice, shapes move upstream against the current long, thin, and jointless. You keep moving. Eventually, the tree line parts. The village. It's whole. Smoke curls from a few chimneys. The sounds of life-soft, cautious liferturn. Footsteps. Whispers. A baby's cry. But something's changed. You enter the longhouse. The fire is burning. The elder is there, though older now, or perhaps simply more tired. You came back, she says, as if you were gone longer than you know. You nod. The girl is there too, drawing in ash with her finger-new symbols this time. Not spirals, not eyes, stars. The elder beckons you close. She places something in your hand, a seed, dark and heavy as stone. It's yours now, she says. Not the guarding, the remembering. You ask what it will grow. She smiles. Whatever the next one needs. That night, the sky is clear. The stars above are steady. No cracks, no bleeding light. But the village stays quiet. No one celebrates. No one pretends it's over. Because it never truly is. You sit beside the hearth, staring into the flames. The pendant still hangs at your neck, cold now but humming softly, like a heartbeat in sleep. The girl hums again, this time a song you recognize. Your mother's lullaby. Her voice carries it across the room, and for the first time in weeks, it feels like a song meant to soothe. You close your eyes. You dream. Not of watchers or stones or falling skies, but of spring. Of melting snow and green shoots. Of laughter untainted by fear. Of children running not from something, but towards something better. And in that dream you plant the seed. And something watches. Not to devour, but to protect. Because now it remembers you too. Spring does not arrive in a burst-it. Drips in slowly, hesitant, as if unsure it's welcome. The snow melts in pockets, then sheets. Grass appears beneath your boots like waking skin. The trees stretch slowly, and the air shiftless like breath held, more like breath finally exhaled. The village is still quiet, but something has changed. Not in volume, but in weight. The silence is no longer heavy. It's thoughtful, like the pause between verses of a song remembered. You spend your days rebuilding, not just walls and fences, but the unspoken rhythm of life. A goat is born. A child laughs not the strange humming laughter of haunted dreams, but a full, bubbling sound that makes the elder's eyes fill with tears. You carry the seed always, in a pouch near your chest. It hasn't sprouted, it doesn't warm, but it hums, like the stone once did, like the watchers once did. It waits, it remembers. The elder ages swiftly now. Her body folds inward. Her voice is brittle. One day, she doesn't rise. You find her seated by the fire, her pendant resting on her chest, her eyes open but unseeing. You bury her beneath the crooked piney, one that stands like a scar in the forest's memory. The villagers gather. No chants, no charms, just quiet and earth. You place her staff at the grave. It flares briefly, then settles. That night, the girl older now, stronger asks about the seed. You tell her the truth, you don't know what it is. Not fully, but it feels like a promise. A lock, a key, maybe both. She nods, then reaches into her pocket and pulls out a stone. Not carved, not warm, but smooth, familiar. She presses it into your palm. It followed me home, she says. I think it wants to listen. You smile. Let it. Time passes differently now. Seasons blend. Some winters are soft, others test. But the watchers do not return. Not like before. They don't need to, because you're watching now, and when the children draw spirals in the ash, they aren't warnings, they're stories. One day, the seed cracks. Not into a tree, not into fire, into a pool of still water, smooth as glass, no wider than your palm. You look into it, see your own face, and behind it, all the faces who came before. You close your fingers around it and bury it at the foot of the stone. Then you walk back to the village, where the fire waits, and the wind is just the wind, and the silence is your own. Years pass. Not counted in days or moons, but in quiet victories, the return of the birds in spring, the laughter of children, the slow rebuilding of trust in the woods. The village grows not in size, but in spirit. Fewer fear the dark. Fewer draw protection runes on their doorframes. But the memory remains, in all of them, in you. The girl now nearly groans-its beside the fire with you one night. She has begun to take the elder's place in subtle ways, reading weather in wind, predicting hunger from the bark of trees, hearing meaning in silence. You still carry it, she says, pointing to your chest. You nod. The pouch is empty now, but you still wear it. Not for what it holds, but for what it meant, what it reminded you of. It's good to remember, you say. She nods. Then she shows you something etched into bark down at the river bend. A spiral, but altered, broken, twisted. Not drawn by any of the children. Not by her. Not by you. You stare at it a long time. The air around it feels cold, familiar. Not everything stays gone, she whispers. That night, you walk the edge of the forest. Not with fear, but with attention. You feel the woods breathing again, as they once did. The watchers are not here. Not now, but something else stirs. A breeze carries an old tune. One you thought forgotten. One you sang long ago. It clings to the trees and drifts across the snowless earth like fog. The girl joins you at the tree line. If it returns, you shake your head. It will. You place your hand against the bark of the oldest pine. Beneath it, faintly glowing, is the symbol from your vision, the doorway. The memory. You kneel and press your palm against it. It does not open, but it warms. And then something whispers not in words, but in emotion. Approval. Legacy. Watch. You rise. In the weeks that follow, you begin teaching the children the old songs not, the lullabies of comfort, but the songs that held the forest back, that bound the stone, that whispered warnings between lines of melody. They sing them easily, as if remembering. And one day, a child barely old enough to hold a knife brings you a charm, a spiral carved in bone, not mimicked, original, new, born of instinct, not repetition. You ask him where he saw it. In my dream, he says. The stone told me, and you understand. It is beginning again. Not the terror, the cycle, the passing of memory, the guarding of silence, the song before winter. You sit by the fire that night and listen, and when you close your eyes, the watchers do not return. They nod and they rest, because someone is still listening. Snow returns, not with violence, but with grace. A soft, steady descent, like a breath held too long and finally exhaled. The village greets it with quiet nods and thicker cloaks. Fires burn longer. Food is preserved more carefully. And the stories those sacred embers are passed from voice to voice. Never written, never lost. You are older now. The ache in your joints whispers louder than any spirit ever did. But you move through the village with purpose. Not as a warrior, as a keeper. One morning, the girl now, a woman, brings news. A traveller has arrived. From the south, alone, thin, wild-eyed. You meet him in the outer hut. His clothes are foreign. His face is lined with salt and sun, not snow and silence. He stares at you with a mixture of awe and dread. "I've heard of this place," he says, "where the snow listens." You nod. He continues. "I dreamed of a stone, of watchers. I thought it was just madness from the mountains." You hand him a cup of pine broth. "Not madness," you say. He drinks. That night, he sits with the others by the hearth. He doesn't speak at first, just listens. Then, during a lull in the fire's crackle, he asks, "Why doesn't the forest take this place?" The woman answers before you can. "Because it's remembered." He blinks. "That's all?" She nods. "That's everything." The wind picks up outside, not howling, breathing. You feel the charm beneath your tunic shift slightly, though it's not been warm in years. Later, in your sleep, the dream returns. You stand before the stone again. It is larger. The cracks glow softly, like embers in the hearth. Around it, hundreds of carvings, each a memory, each a name. Some you know, most you do not. The watchers appear, but this time they kneel. Not to worship, to honor. One of them steps forward, lays a hand on your chest. You feel no fear, only peace. You remembered, it says. When you wake, the hearth is low. The village still sleeps. Snow still falls. You step outside. The world is white again, but not empty. A new carving has appeared on the oldest pine. A seed, sprouting. You touch it, and the bark feels warm. Behind you, someone stirs. The woman. She joins you, silent. You don't speak. You don't need to. The forest is listening. The watchers are resting. And the snow? The snow is just snow again. For now. The days grow shorter once more. Snow thickens its grip across the land, not in fury but in stillness. Winter's hand now feels more like an old friend pressing gently on your shoulder. A reminder, a presence, a pause. Children run through it now, laughing, their voices carrying where once there was only wind. They build spirals in the snow, not in fear, but in reverence. They don't know everything, but they know enough. One morning, you awake with a clarity rare for your age. The dreams didn't come. Not watchers, not fire, not even silence, only warmth. The kind that arrives when something has ended not with finality, but with peace. You go to the forest alone. No axe, no charms, just your breath and your memory. The trees do not shift. The wind does not whisper. Even the snow seems to wait for you to pass. You reach the stone by dusk. It is taller now, or perhaps you've simply grown smaller. The carvings are countless, spanning the surface like stars in a frozen sky. Among them, you find the one etched by your own hand so many seasons ago, a spiral with 3 breaks. Your mark, you kneel. The forest is silent. And then you speak. Not to the watchers, not to the snow, but to the future. You tell it what happened, how fear became memory, and memory became song. You tell it of the seed, and the child who followed your path. You tell it of silence, how sometimes silence is not absence, but attention. You speak until your voice grows hoarse, and still the forest listens. When you return to the village, the woman meets you at the gate. Her eyes search yours. "It's time, isn't it?" You nod. She does not cry. Instead, she smiles. That evening, the fire is lit with no herbs, no charms. Just dry wood and shared hands. The entire village gathers, not in fear, but to witness. You stand. You speak. Then you remove the pendant cold now, almost weightless hand, to press it into the woman's palm. She says nothing. She doesn't need to. You step back into the shadows of the longhouse. Sleep comes easily. No dreams, just warmth. In the morning the village wakes, and you are gone. Not vanished, not taken. Gone like the last leaf of autumn drifting quietly, leaving space behind. The woman places the pendant on the stone altar beside the hearth. Children gather. A new story begins. Outside, snow falls again. But this time, it covers a path already walked. And beneath it, the earth remembers. Not with fear, but with love. Winter rolls forward as it always has, but something is different this year. The snow still comes, thick and heavy, and the forest still whispers on moonless nights, but fear no longer shadows the village's heart. They have learned. The woman, now matriarch in all but name, leads without the elders' staff or chants. She leads by remembering, by listening, by guiding, not guarding. The children learn the old symbols, not to ward off spirits, but to connect to the land. The forest is not feared, it is honoured. The watchers, never seen again, remain part of every story told beside the fire. Not as monsters, as witnesses. A festival is held in the dead of winter, something new, songs are sung. Runes painted in bright ochres and charcoal dance across doors and cheeks. They do not summon, they celebrate. At the heart of the festival stands the stone, once feared, once approached only with trembling hands and whispered prayers. Now they dance around it. The woman carves a new mark on its Bayesian open eye, not one of warning, but of awareness. "We see you," she whispers, "and we remember." The ground does not shake. The sky does not crack. The watchers do not return. And yet, every villager feels something shift, like the land itself nodding in recognition. The seed that was buried seasons ago has sprouted not a tree, but a low curling vine, thick with silver leaves that shimmer even in moonlight. It grows in a spiral, clinging to the base of the stone. The woman tends it each morning. One day, a child finds something tucked beneath its roots, a shard of obsidian, etched with the same eye she carved weeks ago. She holds it to her chest. It pulses, faintly warm. The cycle has not ended. It has evolved. Now, when strangers pass, thought raiders, travellers, those lost to the snow, they are welcomed, fed, given a charm carved from pine or bone, not to protect them from the village, but to remind them that even in the wildest dark, there are places of peace. And always, at the end of the longest night, they gather at the stone. They sing not to ward off spirits, but to thank them. The watchers no longer haunt the village. They guard it, unseen, unspoken, respected. And so the village stands, not because it was spared, but because it remembered, because it endured. And when the snow falls, blanketing the world in silence once more, the silence is not hollow, it is sacred, a breath between stories, waiting for the next voice to begin.